What up, y'all? It's Metaphor back for more. Represent everyone's you and I verse. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into it. Lessons of life, walking a tightrope underneath the microscope. I begin to end the whole street connected to a road. Physical and spiritual split. Eyes closed, eye open, aspirations. Never take form, intuition, attraction. Brought into like a separate dimension. Lucid dreaming, it's matter, it's foreign. Never be foreseen, but passion foreseen. Stay away to heaven, we elevate again. Triple like the time, space, matter in my hand. Matter at hand, this man even care for the land. Open up forbidden eyes. Six sense calculation of the true life. This is my birthright, what I was born with, my essence. Want to defeat the misconception. They blocking on chakras, don't take my like on lava. Ask to imitate, you don't get nada. Cause all I can be is representation of myself, the self-deceptive receptions. How I wanna see. Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? That's how I wanna see, that's how I wanna see. Sunrise, gotta get it again. Fresh 24 to make Aurora Borealis, Paleo philosophy. Remember what you was meant for, more from, four circles. Originally a spirit, moving over around here again. Crystal clear, eyes sitting on top of foreheads. No more is the singular, Sagittarius, they shooting stars in the sky. The sky's the limit. One love, Steve love, I know. You living in our spirit, I know. In the sky, possibly with top, I wanna lie, be. Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? My life in the sight of God's memory. Walking a tightrope underneath the microscope. I begin to end the destitution. The common man place to solve the space. Time didn't exist until you let it. I'm gonna need some letters to cope. This is the rhetoric. Watch yourself, business three. Third person knowing nothing so they know I can see. Every day, AK, the system, the corruption. Let it pierce through your ear and conundrum. Face appears weak, redundant. Now we divulged in no less. Knowledge in abundance. Love the land when I'm roaming on this earth. Write your own raps. Ladies on the table. With the mental. Still trapped in stables. Need a horse to drink. Just got water. You may sit. Conscious flow like the water in the moon. And burying the shit the earth through the seven seas. Flow evil. Never eroded. Shit. We encoded. What it's like. Do you need me to reappear again? Say begin. But my soul is infinite. Minor many sons of mother living under one solar eclipse. When the artificial moon steady drifts. The solar plexus everywhere where you belong. The time is to bliss. Reality Aquarius. What this moment is. Time to shine. Our lives defined in due time. Either now in love practices. Watching you walk. In this lesson too long. It's true because you never ever got something wrong. You tripping in your head about past with future creation. What is this to you? Everything, yeah, this is for you. Get out and create. Get out and create every day. Get out and create every day. Alright, so we're gonna get right into it. Got the moon in Sagittarius with the sun cusping into Gemini, right? And with this being said, at this point in time, we're going to have these far out emotions, and you're going to be communicating these far out emotions based on the sun in Gemini cusping into Cancer, right? And this is all about the emotions with the sun in Cancer, right? And the moon in Sagittarius is always a far out emotion, or far out morality, or experience, or knowledge and wisdom, and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. So yeah, at this point in time, we're going to be squaring the Lilith and Virgo, right, with the moon. So at this point in time, we're going to be learning how to get comfortable with our most embarrassing moment or our darkest moment based on the moon squaring Lilith, right? So the square is all about a learning process. And keep in mind, we also have, right when the moon enters Sagittarius, fully in that first part of me, we cusping into it, you know what I'm saying? We're leaving out from Scorpio right now, we cusping into Sagittarius. And right when we hit that first degree of Sagittarius, we're going to have that sextile to Pluto. So we're going to see the opportunity to have this deep change and feel comfortable with this far out emotions and see the opportunity based on these far out emotions to initialize a deep change, essentially. And keep in mind, we also have the South Node being in being in Libra, right? So the South Node is all about your comfortability or like the space that you return to whenever you feel uncomfortable or things getting shaky. So keep in mind, we got the North Node being in Aries, right? And the South Node being in Libra. So we're going to see that opportunity to find our comfortability at this point in time and things that we've, I'm saying, based on that South Node, been in the past life, so to speak, or past circumstances that we find comfortability in. And that North Node being in Aries, we're going to be having to find our purpose and our individuality and things of that nature. And the moon in Sagittarius is going to be able to see that opportunity. So being far out is seeing the opportunity to have your purpose be enacted and things like that. Yeah, Coca-Cola don't give me a sponsor, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to mention their name because they need to send me an email, you know what I'm saying? And get right and things like that. You know, Pepsi sponsor Michael Jackson. It's only right Coca-Cola sponsor me, you feel me? But yeah, moving forward. The moon is also going to be in conjuncting the Mars in Taurus, right? And also Uranus in Taurus as well. So keep in mind at this point in time, we may misunderstand how to be passionate based on our ways of feeling far out and things like that, based on the Mars. And keep in mind, Mars is in detriment in Taurus because Mars is at home and Aries and Scorpio is opposite to Taurus. So keeping that in mind at this point in time, we may misunderstand how to be passionate or have our intentions be played out, essentially based on where the Mars is right now and things of that nature. And Mars being in Taurus is like that slow energy. So we're going to have to figure out how to do things step by step and logistical and practicalize. It's not like Taurus is slower, not like that. It's that Taurus likes to take their time and likes to have things be actually worked out practically and logistically at this point in time. So we may misunderstand based on the Sagittarius energy liking to be far out and travel and things like that. We may misunderstand that if we want to actually have our passions be played out, we need to do things step by step. So keep that in mind. And also the Uranus being a Taurus is having that unique or original space trying to be grounded essentially. So we may misunderstand being unique and original to stabilize that unique and originality and things like that based on Uranus being here, right? We may misunderstand that because moon is in Sagittarius. So we feel comfortable being far out and traveling and being in our morality and things like that. And that morality may put us in a space that we misunderstand how to rebel and oppose and things like that based on Uranus being in Taurus, like I say. And then keep in mind, we also have the moon trining the North Node, like I mentioned, because the North Node is in Aries. So we're also creating that opportunity to be that individual, you know what I'm saying, things like that. So we're feeling comfortable being far out, and being far out, we then in turn have that opportunity that we create to have our purpose be played out and see our purpose and things like that and create that purpose and things of that nature. And keep in mind, Chiron is also in Aries. So Chiron being here is the wounded healer. So our individuality is something that we're wounded about, but we also still want to carry on and still be that individual. So keep in mind, we're going to have that opportunity to create this circumstance based on us being far out and create the opportunity to have that individuality kind of be wounded and things like that. I'm kind of, my stand kind of falling apart on me. Hold up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm making sure y'all can still hear me. You know what I'm saying? I kind of covered up the microphone. Hold on, let me get this right. All right, there we go. But yeah, moving forward, we have also the moon. Whenever the moon is, keep in mind, like I say, whenever the moon enters Sagittarius to that 1 degree, it's going to be sextile Pluto. But keep in mind, at the end of the transit of the moon in Sagittarius, we're going to have that opposition to the sun in Gemini, right? And the sun is going to be cusping, and the sun is cusping into Cancer right now. So the sun in Gemini cusping Cancer, it's like that communication that we want to feel comfortable with. You want to make people feel comfortable based on this communication style and things like that, and taking action, communicating. So essentially, being far out is kind of opposing to that communication style. You don't want to be so far out to the point that you can't actually relate to individuals, is what I'm pretty much trying to get at this point in time. And then also we have the Jupiter being in Gemini. So we may not misunderstand, we may oppose our knowledge, wisdom, and experience that we are actually going through and things like that based on the Jupiter being in Gemini, opposing the moon in Sagittarius. So the moon in Sagittarius wants to feel far out, but Jupiter wants to communicate about that being far out and things like that. And being far out and communicating doesn't always go hand in hand. So keep in mind, you want to find that balance in between teaching people things and also communicating. So have that healthy balance between your communications and also that morality that you have that you're comfortable with. And like I say in the title, this is a time to communicate our far out emotions or feel comfortable with our far out emotions. And with all this being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the rising signs, you know what I'm saying? Once we hit a couple more minutes, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to wait a couple more minutes because essentially they'll be having a little transcript based on YouTube and things like that, you know what I'm saying? And certain things that you say might be put in the algorithm and things like that, and the algorithm kind of play with your numbers and things like that. So I could have like 1,000 people in here right now and it would never show it, you know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all hit the like button to actually show how many individuals we got in this joint and things like that. But yeah, keep that in mind, that whoever you viewing on YouTube and things like that, YouTube be playing with the numbers. So essentially, if YouTube don't like the messages that you putting out and things like that, they're going to play with your numbers and act like there's not as many people watching you as actually are watching. So the like button is how to counteract that and things like that. So go ahead, make sure you hit the like button, you know what I'm saying? I don't be saying that too often, but keep in mind that YouTube be playing, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, if they don't like the message and it doesn't actually go with their algorithm and the narrative they're trying to put across and things like that, it actually ends up being non-beneficial to the individuals watching and to the people that are actually creating the videos. So if you actually want to support who you're watching and have them continue to make videos, you know what I'm saying, then you might want to hit that like button, you know what I'm saying, and things like that to kind of get more people into the algorithm. And then also, you know what I'm saying, people can be far out like you based on the moon of Sagittarius, you know what I'm saying. Keep that in mind. But yeah, essentially like if you having videos based on individuals having more detriment in their life and things like that, and the videos are all about entertainment and things of that like violence and things of that nature, like I don't know why, but humans like violence and things like that, and essentially they like seeing other people get hurt and things like that. So if you're actually trying to help people, YouTube be playing with you, you know what I'm saying? That's just how it go. But yeah, keep that in mind. Whenever you actually want to see a content creator thrive, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share their videos, you know what I'm saying, that you can counteract the algorithm and things like that. So yeah, keep that in mind. For people that are actually like, if you have a content creator that's just starting out and things like that, and they don't actually get the game, you know what I'm saying, make sure you show them some love. But like individuals like myself who've been here for years, we know the game and things like that, and we don't do it based on the like button. We don't do it based on the subscribe button. We do it based on trying to help each individual get through their day-to-day and things like that, just like how we've been helped to get to the space that we're in. So essentially, if you want to have somebody continue to make the videos and be inspired, go ahead and show them some love and things like that. That's just how it's going to go. So keep that in mind, you know what I'm saying? But essentially, if you on YouTube for a purpose and things like that, you know your purpose, like button's kind of irrelevant. Subscribe button's kind of irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? I could have 5 subscribers and 0 likes. I wouldn't care. I'd still be making videos every day because I know I'm helping somebody, you know what I'm saying? Just like myself has been helped. So that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. But yeah, since we got that point across, we're going to go ahead and break down the rising signs, starting with Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, you know what I'm saying, is having the moon being in their first house. So it's all about feeling comfortable with your personal affairs or your individuality at this point in time. If you feel uncomfortable with your individuality, your personal affairs, get a little bit more far out and go ahead and see like, oh, okay, me being far out in my own way of being, that's essentially what I feel comfortable with. So Sagittarius has a certain morality about themselves and their personal life based on their rising sign. They don't always show that to people, you know what I'm saying? Once the Sagittarius gets put in a space that they don't actually want to be in, then they go ahead and find another way to express that and things like that and get it across, but in a whole different way. So I'm saying, so essentially, if you're on the lower octave of that and you feel uncomfortable, realize that you're actually uncomfortable with your individuality. So go ahead and feel comfortable with your individuality and say, you know what, this is who I am. And if people don't like who you are, that's just on them, you know what I'm saying? You can go ahead and keep on being you. That's really what the key is. Key is, you know what I'm saying, whenever you have the moon in your first house, just feel comfortable with yourself and things like that. And whoever trying to bring you down, that's really like hurt people, and that's just how it go, you know what I'm saying? Then moving forward, the Scorpio rising is having the second house being a Sagittarius, so valuing this way of being far out people, places, things, and ideas. So essentially, if you have a far out idea at this point in time and you value it and then things like that, you're pretty much on the higher octave. You feel comfortable in that value system. And essentially, if you keep in mind, the second house is all about making money as well. So if you're making money about your way of being far out, you're kind of on that higher octave. But if you're on that lower octave, you feel uncomfortable with your values and things like that, and your values aren't being accumulated based on your far out nature, you want to find another way to, you know what I'm saying, be in the right place or be with the right people that actually accumulate value to the way of being far out in oneself. So keep that in mind. And then the Libra rising is having the third house being a Sagittarius, so it's a sextile. And the sextile is a 60-degree angle. So based on that 60-degree angle, you're going to see the opportunity. A sextile is seeing the opportunity. So the Libra sees the opportunity in their environment to be far out and have this environmental communication be communicated. You know what I'm saying? So you in the environment and you relate into the environment based on that Libra rising, but you also see the opportunity in that environment to communicate about what is relevant in that, you know what I'm saying, circumstance and situation. And keep in mind, the third house is like your immediate area and things like that. So like kind of like your neighbors and things like that. If the Libra is feeling comfortable communicating with their neighbors and things like that and people that are close to them and in their environment, then essentially you want the higher octave. But if you want that lower octave, to rectify that, you want to see the opportunity and who to actually communicate to in your environment, or see what environment would actually be more beneficial for oneself. And keep in mind, we kind of at the last little circumstance of that, because we're about to have that full moon in Capricorn at this point in time. So keep in mind, if you're not fulfilled or satisfied in your way of building your status and things like that, you want to go ahead and rectify that within these next 2.5 days before you run out of time. And then you got the full moon, and then you scattered and you run it all over to trying to find a way to get more comfortable with your status and feel, like I say, feel more comfortable. Sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn, status, you know what I'm saying, things like that. And the moon is all about comfortability and emotions. So yeah, I'm saying I would be happy if Coca-Cola go ahead and send me a little email saying we sponsor you and things like that. That'd be cool for my status, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and accumulate that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's one of my far out emotions, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. I got Leo rising, so it's essentially I'm expressing that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, keep that in mind. And then the Virgo rising is having the fourth house being a Sagittarius, so essentially seeing the opportunity to learn, right? Seeing the opportunity is sextile, but also having an opportunity to learn, that's the square. Keep that in mind. The 90-degree angle is a square, and it's that pressure. So the Virgo going to have pressure to actually express their way of being far out in their home and be more far out about their heart and things like that, and their private natures and things of that nature. So the Virgo going to have to learn how to be more far out at this point in time. And then on the higher octave, if you learn to express oneself and express that that far out nature, then you want that higher octave being that Virgo. If you want the lower octave being the Virgo rising, you feel uncomfortable in your home, you feel uncomfortable in your private matters and things like that. You want to rectify that and find a space that you can actually be more comfortable to express that far out nature and feel comfortable in your morality. So yeah, maybe like go to your mother's house, or go to your father's house, or go to your parents' house, you know what I'm saying, if they're together and things like that, and kind of be more around a space that makes you feel more comfortable and things like that. If you put the Virgo rising in the lower octave, and people that know how you like to be far out. Because like the Virgo is kind of like picking and choosing based on them being that mutable energy. They kind of pick and choose who to actually be far out with and who to kind of keep more recluse and things like that. The Virgo is that, if you talk about tarot, it's the Hermit card. So the Virgo kind of like sits back and like lets you play yourself and say, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't have wanted to express myself around that individual anyways, because they would have judged me and things like that, and it would have been non-beneficial. But at this point in time, you want to just go ahead and be far out. You know what I'm saying? And if people aren't making you feel comfortable with your way of being far out, that's kind of on them and things like that. And moving forward, the Leo rising is having the fifth house being a Sagittarius. And keep in mind, the fifth house is all about expression, your childlike nature, and having fun. So essentially for the Leo right now, you want to go ahead and have fun and enjoy yourself and things of that nature at this point in time. You'll create that opportunity based on being the Leo rising, you know what I'm saying, to be expressive and things of that nature and express that far out nature. It's like the Leo always wants to shine and things like that, but they don't always know how to shine based on them being so far out and things like that. Sometimes the Leo go too far with things. So essentially, if people are making you feel uncomfortable being far out, then you're not able to be in that childlike nature and that childlike expression. So you know what I'm saying, you want to find people to express yourself around that actually make you feel comfortable and things of that nature and make you feel happy and things of that nature. You want to actually enjoy yourself at this point in time with the moon in Sagittarius. So have some enjoyment in your life and essentially live a little, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Whenever the sun is in Sagittarius for the Leo, you want to make sure you go ahead and have a good old time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe do a traveling experience or adventure and things of that nature. Whenever it's fall time, and whenever it's cold outside, you want to go somewhere warm, being that Leo. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's kind of like the same nature, but on a minuscule or a minor kind of octave based on being the moon being here. So essentially, you want to feel comfortable expressing oneself.
And the Gemini rising, pardon me, not the Gemini rising, next is Cancer. Cancer is having the 6th house being a Sagittarius. So based on the 6th house, it's all about routine, patterns, and health and things of that nature, or your rituals. So keep that in mind that you may misunderstand how to feel comfortable with that ritual or with that routine and pattern based on it being so far out and not like the norm and things of that nature. So essentially, if your way of being in your routine and pattern is actually generating a more healthy experience, then that's essentially what you want to have being played out at this point in time. If you want that lower octave and you feel uncomfortable in your routine and pattern, then you essentially want to see, what can I actually do to make myself feel more comfortable in my routine, like in my life and things like that? What is actually more healthy for me? And that's kind of what the Cancer want to focus on at this point in time. What is the routine and pattern that you'd actually benefit from? Then moving forward, the Gemini rising is having the 7th house being a Sagittarius, and the 7th house is all about, that opposition or that 180-degree angle. And based on that, you can either add on or oppose. So the Gemini can either add on to the conversation that's being far out, or they can oppose it and say, this is not the truth and things like that. Sagittarius teaching some BS right now, you know what I'm saying? You kind of being a WLB, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Peace Dealer, you know what I'm saying? If you know what that means, then you know what that means, you know what I'm saying? Or, what was the other one say? He say WLB, and he say, what else did the homie say? Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Don't be a B word. It's pretty much all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You want to essentially speak your truth and things like that, even if it add on or oppose the circumstance and situation that is at hand and things like that. So essentially, if somebody teaching some BS and things like that, and you know what I'm saying, they just utilizing a coping mechanism at this point in time, being that Gemini rising, you might want to call that out and things like that, or even call that out within oneself. Like if I'm relating in a certain way that is actually some BS, then go ahead and let me know, you know what I'm saying, based on being that Gemini rising. Or if the Gemini is seeing something that's a falsity or a facade and things like that, they want to go ahead and call that out. So then moving forward, the Taurus rising is having the 8th house being a Sagittarius. So the 8th house is all about secrets, transformation, sex, you know what I'm saying, things like that. So essentially the Taurus may misunderstand how to be far out because they always want to practicalize things and make sense about things before they do things. So essentially you want to kind of just go with the flow and allow things to transform how they're supposed to transform, and keep the things behind the scenes that are supposed to be behind the scenes, and it be far out, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes and things like that. Don't always want to be that individual that wants to make everything work. Sometimes you got to be far out to actually accumulate things that you want to, you know what I'm saying, transform. We'll just keep that at that. We're going to leave the 8th house in the 8th house. If you know, you know. The 8th house is all about the occult as well. So I'm saying maybe you want to get some more occult knowledge and wisdom and things like that. So you go ahead and watch some astrology videos and comprehend more of your energies and how you kind of, I'm saying, relate with the collective and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. And the Aries rising is having the 9th house, being a Sagittarius, and the 9th house is all about knowledge, wisdom, experience, morality, travel inside the mind or externally. So essentially the Aries may create an opportunity to travel or be far out with their way of being and things like that. So you might want to travel to a far out place to actually have your morality be more accepted and you feel more comfortable with that and things like that. Aries is that individual. So you want to have that individuality be expressed in your morality and things like that. You're the only one that's like that, you know what I'm saying? You're the first one to do everything. So you want to be the first one to have that morality, be the first one to travel there and things like that. So keep that in mind. This is an opportunity that you're creating. Do you actually want to be comfortable in your way of traveling in the mind and things like that, or your way of being far out, or you feel uncomfortable like, oh dang, I haven't actually accumulated everything that I want to accumulate to actually get to that far out space? So that's something if you want the lower octave. If you want that lower octave, now you want to accumulate some things in that knowledge and wisdom space, like, oh, okay, how could I actually travel in the mind to then in turn, whenever we actually have the Sagittarius season played out, now I can actually travel and things like that. So yeah, moving forward, the Pisces rising is having the 10th house being a Sagittarius, and the 10th house is all about your status, your blueprint, and your career. And keep in mind, this is also a square. The Pisces in the Sagittarius is a square, a 90-degree angle. So the Pisces is going to have to learn how to be more far out with their emotions and things like that, and actually feel comfortable being far out and things like that. Pisces is like that individual that is able to blend in and things like that. So at this point in time, you want to learn how to be more expressive and be more far out with your knowledge and wisdom and experience. And don't just want to blend in and just be the individual that nobody actually knows that you're manipulating things behind the scenes. You want to kind of make that more, a little bit more known and things of that nature. Essentially, the Sagittarius moon is all about magic and things of that nature. So the Sagittarius to be doing magic every day. They'd be out in the forefront saying, I do magic. You know what I'm saying? The Pisces kind of like sit back and say, I do magic. Don't let nobody know. But at this point in time, you want to learn how to be more comfortable in your way of being far out or doing that magic, so to speak. If you feel uncomfortable with your magic and things like that, that's kind of on you. You know what I'm saying? You, the Pisces individual that want to just sit back and blend in and want everybody to feel comfortable and have everybody just have this cool, smooth wave and things like that. No, Sagittarius, you want to kind of make that burst on the scene and things like that and say, this is how I feel, and maybe far out, but this is me. So yeah, moving forward, the Aquarius rising is having the 11th house being a Sagittarius. And based on that 11th house, the 11th house is all about your public persona, your association, and your public places and things like that. So essentially, the Aquarius is seeing the opportunity in their public places to be far out. Aquarius has always been far out. They're the alien, you know what I'm saying? They're the alien archetype, the scientist, you know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind at this point in time. You're seeing the opportunity in your association to be far out. If you feel uncomfortable being far out, you're the Aquarius that actually wants to be more practical and make sense and things like that, and you don't like being looked at as unique and original. But keep in mind, no matter what, I skipped over my words. No matter what, being the Aquarius, you are unique and original. Based on you being ruled by Saturn, right? You already like to build on things, right? By being co-ruled by Uranus, and things like that. So you're always going to be that unique and original energy and things like that. And people should expect you to be doing unexpected things. So essentially, keep that in mind. Your associates are going to see you being far out. So you feel comfortable amongst your associates being far out, or you feel uncomfortable being far out amongst your associates at this point in time. So essentially, get comfortable with being far out and doing your own kind of magic and things like that. It's either you get with it now or get with it later, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to have to get with it either way. Either way, you're always that unique and original individual. Being the Aquarius, the alien. But yeah, that's like kind of where the alien construct come from. So keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, to kind of go left field, but on the same kind of plane of existence, keep in mind, Pluto is an Aquarius. So essentially, everybody is having to change into being that far out individual or being that individual that is always unique and original and things like that. Moving forward, last but not least, the Capricorn rising is having the 12th house being in Sagittarius. So that 12th house is all about dreams, illusions, nightmares, and endings, and saying unconscious circumstances and things like that. Things that you're unaware of but are still occurring. So essentially the Capricorn does magic and things like that just innately. Like they don't even realize that they're actually manipulating the circumstance to actually have it played out towards their dream and things like that. Like that illusion that you're in, you know what I'm saying, maybe you like, am I doing far out things or am I actually making sense and being practical and things like that? Capricorn, earth sign. You know what I'm saying? So the Capricorn is more used to being practical and logistical about creating a new logistical way of going about things. But keep in mind, having this 12th house of Sagittarius, either you feel comfortable with this far out dream, illusion, and nightmare that you're in, or you feel uncomfortable being far out based on this dream that you have. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got dreams, and if you're not able to dream properly, then you're not even going to have your dream be accomplished. You know what I'm saying? So at this point in time, you feel comfortable with the way that you're dreaming. You know what I'm saying? And to build on that dream, you want to be able to actually put it in reality and things like that. So whenever we have this full moon in Capricorn, you can actually see, oh, I feel satisfied with my personal life and I feel comfortable based on my status and things like that. So yeah, keep that in mind, Capricorn. You know what I'm saying? You want to have whatever you need to be accumulated before we have this full moon, go ahead and accumulate that. Essentially, whatever that dream is, you want to go ahead and initiate that. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. But yeah, much love and holla back. You know what I'm saying? You could email me with the email in the description. You know what I'm saying? conscious1347@gmail.com. And keep in mind, I'm conscious of all the consciousness. You know what I'm saying? I'm consciously aware. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Uriel and things like that, talking about the subconscious. Because at the end of the day, astrology is what is expressing that subconscious nature. Like these things are playing out even if you're unaware of them and things like that. Even if you're a muggle, you still do magic, but you don't even realize that based on the law of assumption. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're assuming things are going to occur and things like that, that's you playing out the following circumstance that is going to play out. You assume that something's going to happen, so then in turn, you're having that actual circumstance be played out because you assume things are going to go that way, and things like that. And if you actually have that manifestation continue to play out over time, then essentially whatever you think is what is actually going to be played out in reality. So yeah, like I say, you can go ahead and email me if you have any questions about this live and things like that. Anything I've spoken on, go ahead and email me and I'll answer your question. Or if you wanted to get a natal reading, personal, chart reading and things like that based on your certain house that we have Sagittarius being played out right now, or whatever. If you want to have a secondary progress chart reading and things like that, go ahead and email me and I'll send you a menu right back. You know what I'm saying? Much love and holla back. Peace and love if you believe in all that.